What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Boots, Banter, and Beyond, the stories of Irreverent Warriors. This is the show where stories about how humor and camaraderie have changed lives for the better. I'm your host, as always, Eric Schessel. Tonight, we are joined by Dan from all the way out in IW Phoenix and Kim from nation's capital at DC. Welcome to the show, you two. How you guys doing tonight?
Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, somebody
Oh,
say something.
well, I'm doing great. I mean, of course, for those that don't know, I'm still serving actively. So right now, we're just still navigating through the current events as we go. But other than that, I'm doing just fine. Still growing professionally in the side, and I'm just learning. And we're very excited because we have our hike in a couple of weeks. So we're pretty stoked.
Absolutely. Kim, how are you this evening?
I'm doing really good. Like Daniel, we are navigating the current events that are happening, especially close here in DC, because it does affect this area a lot. But we are still planning moving forward with our hike in 2 weeks. So we're looking forward to that. A little bit of rain and sunshine in the dark clouds.
Absolutely. So before we start talking about your guys' hikes and stuff like that, one of the things that I like to do is I like to talk about who you guys are as people, not so much the LCs, co-LCs, and whatnot that we all know and love. So Kim, why don't you start us off? Tell us a little bit about what you do when you're not doing IW stuff, and then kind of like your military experience and background and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, is there anything other than IW? No, I'm kidding. Outside of IW, I'm sorry, I have dogs, so that's
It's
a big
okay.
thing that I deal with. She's hanging out the window barking right now. But other than that, other than I have a daytime job. I work for a law firm up in Bethesda, and then for my fun, I play softball and softball and or softball. So that's pretty much what I do for fun and train my dogs to be service dogs.
Mm,
How's
nice.
that going? They seem like they're not behaving right now.
Uh, well, to be honest, right now, that's just my oldest one. The other two are kenneled right now. She's barking because pizza's being delivered.
Uh,
Oh, that sounds delicious. I'll take some of that.
So
Um,
now she's downstairs.
got it. Dan, so give us the lowdown. Who are you outside of IW?
I started IW. I'm just trying to continue my active duty career. Trying to do college as we go so I can commission. That's my goal, commission and transfer branches, hopefully, eventually. And as I'm working on that right now, and professionally, I'm also a personal trainer. So I'm venturing in those weeds, and that kind of correlates to my degree. So right now, I'm all about improving people's quality of life. That's one of the things that I've found myself very passionate about. Um, Besides that, I very happily married. I have a Chihuahua who's running around here somewhere. He is my life. That dog's my life. I just want to say that little one is he is my service animal. I know he gets a lot of hate because he's a Chihuahua, but he's very well behaved, especially when he flies around. He just falls asleep, and if I get a little distressed, he does his thing and calms me down, and then he's just like, "All right, dude, shut up. I gotta go to bed." So I go. Then he goes to sleep.
Can I
Yeah,
borrow him
just
to train my dogs?
he he's great with people. He's not the best with other dogs. He's very territorial, man. He's still a Chihuahua. You cannot
Because
get the
say
dog out of the dog.
Chihuahuas are vicious, man.
Yeah, but I learned that male Chihuahuas are sweeter than female Chihuahuas. So I don't know, but yeah, he's of course he's a male. He's a happy little guy. He just wanders around. He's good and he sleeps a lot. He's my couch potato.
All right. So Dan, keep it going. Talk to us. How did you find Irreverent Warriors? How did you find out about the organization?
Oh man. I found out about Irreverent Warriors through Vet TV. Vet TV is how I started with the hikes. I know people do it backwards, but that's how I got it. I just when you watch the episodes, I never watched the credits. I never watched until the last part. And I guess I was just doing dishes one day. This is as I was like PCSing, as I was moving out of a very terrible place. And I was moving back to California at the time. And then the Reverend Warriors thing came out. Like I just see a bunch of people, short shorts, and apparently having a great time. They were having a great time, and I was just like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. So I attended my first hike ever 2 weeks afterwards, in like 2 hours away. So I live in the Northern California side, and this hike was in San Jose. So I just drove the 3 hours that I had to drive, and I just fell in love with the hikes and the idea behind it. Right.
Yeah.
Um, it just the interactions that we have with people, especially as a hiker. Um, you got to come with an open mind, man, and I'm happy I did. I was very, I let my guard down a little bit, because I'm not very prone to smack talking as many people are. So that already was an impact on me. But it seemed that people were having such a great time that I kind of was just like, okay, maybe this is the way they do it. I am also very young, and I'm part of this generation where people take stuff very seriously. Um, so that's kind of something that I also um, collided with. But nonetheless, I just fell in love with the idea of the hikes, and I've attended 6 other hikes after that. I didn't venture east of Texas, but I was traveling around when I could take some leave or some passes or anything like that until I met with our LC Perla. And then we just met through it's Mac Talk on Facebook actually, and she was just like, "Hey, you've done a bunch of hikes, and I just started Phoenix. Like, let's chat a little bit." And that just one thing came after the other one, and then we were already planning our hike in Phoenix. And I've been with the team since day one, so this is our fourth hike ever. So we've been going strong. And I just fell in love with the idea of having my own event and actually providing that experience to others, right? Because
Yeah.
uh, that's the beauty of Irreverent Warriors. Though we do have the same concept of event, because you're in a certain place, you can add your spin to it. You know, so Phoenix as Arizona general, like we already have the Tucson team, which is one of the original teams of Irreverent Warriors actually, and they kind of coached us through how they do stuff down south of Arizona. But then, even though we're in the same state, they're two different cities.
Yeah.
So we were able to brush off of them, and then it just became a bigger calling at that point. I know you guys probably feel the same way. It's different to attend hikes now that you have your own hike, because you kind of can pinpoint a couple things, you can steal a couple ideas maybe, but nonetheless, I just fell in love with the idea of our mission, and I have officially lost more friends to suicide than to actual combat, and that freaking sucks, so
Yeah.
I if I can save someone else's friend, I will, because I couldn't save mine. I know it gets dark and pretty um um it's sad, but at that point that's my main goal, that's my main mission. If I can help someone, I will.
Good. All right, Kim. Talk to us about how you found Irreverent. You muted yourself. You didn't unmute.
Sorry. I found Irreverent Warriors. I had a friend call me, I think it was in 2018, 2019. I can't remember which year. Um, And she called me the day before. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to do this hike in Richmond. Do you want to go?" I'm like, "Sure. How long is it?" And she's like, "I don't know, 7 miles maybe." I'm like, "Okay, Richmond, hike, whatever." She's like, "Oh yeah, it's Halloween themed. So, you know, dress up in a costume." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Day before Halloween." Ugh. But figured it out, dressed up as Wonder Woman. We get down there, and then I see all these people in crazy ass shorts and silkies. Most of them are Marines, and I was feeling a little out of place because I'm like, I'm Air Force, so kind of didn't want to tell people that right away. you know, but you know, we did the hike. Everything was great. Didn't really talk to a whole lot of people for that hike. Just pretty much, my friend V. And we did the hike. I was at the end of it, I was really kind of cussing her because I was hurting a lot because I was a lot heavier. Hadn't done a hike like that in quite a bit of time, and then the last part of it was all uphill. And I literally got to the bottom of that hill, and everybody wanted to run up the hill and do push-ups, and I could barely walk. So I was kind of cursing her. Um, but then, a few days after I had a chance to process the group and what was going and how I was feeling about it, I started looking for other hikes to go to. Took me a couple of years because I had a knee surgery, and we had COVID and all kinds of fun stuff happen. And so finally I made it to another hike in Harper's Ferry. Did that one, and then did DC, and then did DC again, joined the DC team. And then like last year I probably did 13 hikes up and down the East Coast in one year. Took over the DC chapter last year in April, and just been going strong ever since. I love it because, I'm going to be a little bit dark for a minute. 14 years ago, I attempted suicide. And if it hadn't been for my tribe after the fact, I would have attempted again. So I know that having your people that, have been through similar situations works, not necessarily, all of the things people tell us that we need to do. Even just having a support network helps. And so if I can give somebody what I was given, I would 100% keep doing this.
And I love that because you and Dan basically kind of said the same thing, right? You're trying to just help each other and help others,
Mhm.
and everything like that. And that's powerful because that's literally like that's my why, right? I've
Yeah.
lost friends to suicide, and I will do whatever it takes um, to fight that fight for them and with them so that they're not doing that stuff alone. And these
Yeah.
hikes, I know that the hikes in the organization does a lot for that. Um, all right, so we both know that you guys are the local coordinators or co-local coordinators of now we got DC and Phoenix. Um, so what we're gonna do real quick is I'm gonna change this thingy here just like this. Oh, bam! There we go. All right, so you guys shrink a little bit, but we're gonna pull up because I stole y'all's flyers. I didn't really steal them. They're on y'all's pages, so I'm borrowing them, I guess.
Steal away, my man.
Well, how else am I supposed to promote you guys, right? So this
That's
is
right.
the Phoenix Silkies Hike poster flyer. So for those who are in the Phoenix area, or even if you're not in the Phoenix area and you ain't got shit else going on because you don't ain't got shit else going on October 25th, go on out to and register for this. The QR code is right there, right there. You see it right there to register. So scan that on your phone right now while you got it on your screen, and scan that and go to the damn hike because, like I said, you ain't got shit else to do. But Dan, so give us a little bit of background on what can you tell us about the logo and the meaning behind it, and because I see a phoenix in there, looks like there's a sunset going on. So talk to us about the logo design you got there.
All right. Our spin too, and you will see it right in the middle of the E and the R. in the Irreverent ward, instead of the logo tossing a grenade backwards, we're tossing a taco.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes, sir.
Who
So
throws tacos? That's food abuse.
it is, it is. But the thing is that you have someone behind you catching it, brother.
All
So I
right.
want you to
Okay.
catch that taco, dude.
I'll catch
Anywho,
all the
I mean,
tacos.
that's the I pulled that out of my behind. It's, don't believe me, military men lie. You should already know that. Um, but hey, we are walking red flags. That's what I
I'm
was
not
told.
a red flag. I'm a walking American flag. That's all y'all need to know.
You goddamn right. But yeah, nonetheless, I
Anyway,
mean, I that's the our whole idea behind this logo. And by the way, shout out to one of our team members, James Hickman. He's the one that designs this, so he's the man. Whenever he's got some downtime, he sketches, draws, and we have our shirt too, by the way. um, but yeah, um, we both been to the desert in our own fashionable way. Of course, you guys are Air Force, so different desert than me, probably, or different desert than most of our friends. There are Marines, most of them, maybe. But there's nothing more. No, cool. I was in the desert. Yeah. Did I should have paid more attention in school, my man. But nonetheless, I was just we were just so we were looking for that thing that makes Phoenix and that this side, like the West Coast, very important. And one of those things that we notice, and one of the things that we want to share with people is that, hey, it's getting a little colder out there, but guess where it's not cold? Arizona, baby. So that's what we do. So right now at the end of our hike, we have the most beautiful sunsets. It hasn't been a year that we didn't have the perfect sunset right at the end of our hike. We end up in a park, and this is how the skies turned out. So one of our members actually, he actually noticed. He was just like, hey, that purple reminds me of that first hike that we did. And he's been coming strong every single year. So that purple desert sunset is one of those things that we just like to embrace. We have one of our members, one of our hikers, Sergeant Major, and he just says, hey, you gotta, at the end of a long walk, when you're talking and smoking and joking, you got to see that sunset and you made it another day. And a couple more emblems, of course. Phoenix, our city, and then that's the skyline of our downtown Phoenix, which we walk every hike in a different fashion. And like I said, we understand that it's a very Hispanic culture driven area. The whole state of Arizona is, but we wanted to get that spin off with that taco, and of course, if you know Perla, she's always with her sombrero hiking around. So it's not a tribute, but it is a tribute to the OG of Phoenix. Like, we just gotta pay
sure.
credit where it's due, and it wouldn't be possible without her being crazy enough to be like, yo, I gotta start from scratch. I gotta bring this to this city, and um, she's just so and so amazing, and I learn from her every single time we chat about anything. So we just kind of wanted to give our spin off on that.
Cool. All right, Kim, your turn. Talk to us about your hike poster. And also, before you do that, sorry. So for those in the Mid Atlantic, the Northeast, all that good stuff, check out. You've got a registration link right there. Make sure you get on that, scan it, and register for the DC hike. I always hear so many great things about the DC hike. I need to make it down there at some point. But Kim, talk
Well,
to us about the significance of your logo and your flyer.
the significance of our flyers, we kind of wanted it to be a little bit of dark and spooky because we are doing a Halloween theme this year for our hike, which is, Hank will make an appearance at the hike, being carried around and stuff. So we kind of wanted our flyer to kind of be a little bit of dark and spooky. Our logo, Mr. Washington, we just did a new logo for the city, and this is the unveiling, so to speak. But George Washington, Washington D.C. This is where our founding fathers, rule the nation and whatnot. We wanted to throw in the Pentagon, because that's where the military services. They all, have all their meetings there. Um, couldn't go without making George Washington tactical. And then we threw in the cherry blossoms because DC is known for the annual cherry blossom festival where the tidal basin just becomes a sea of pink. So that's how we came up with our logo.
Very cool. So when are the cherry blossoms in season?
So the cherry blossoms usually start to bloom about the last week of March into the second week of April. So you have there's a time where they will post about 2 weeks prior that's a peak bloom, and that's when they're all out full effect. And then, the spring rains come and knock them off the trees.
Very cool. All right, all right. All right, so I'm bringing you guys back in full screen. Boom, there we go. In fact, I'm going to do this. Now I'm sandwiched between you guys. All right, so I have a question. So, Kim, is Henry there? Is he going to be wearing silkies for the hike? Are you going to sneak him
He
into a pair?
He will be in Silkies. I have a pair specifically for him. So yeah, he'll probably be crowd surfing. So if you'll see photos of Hank being crowd surf throughout the hike, and that's okay. Maybe hanging on for dear life to my HSC's truck, you know. So who knows? But he'll be making his appearance.
Sweet. All right, Daniel. So talk to us. So give us a little bit of juice for your hike. Don't give everything away, but what tidbits can we expect from y'all Silkies hike out there in Phoenix?
Okay, so one of our special branding things is that of course this is one of the last hikes of the latter portion of the year. Traditionally and non-traditionally, we do have a small-ish celebration for the Marine Corps birthday, which is November 10 or 11, sorry, or 10. November 10. Sorry, the Marines. I think it's 10. I'm not a Marine. I'm not a Marine. Um, hey, I know July. Hey, June 14, 1775. That's all I know. Nonetheless, um, so one of those things is that we kind of prepare with one of our other members who actually hosts a Marine Corps birthday celebration. So we kind of kick things off from there. So it's kind of sets the pace for um, most of our West Coast hikers. That's one. Two, um, we have a group of Gulf War veterans that reunited. They're the Navy old guys, and they reunited in our hike. So they became a sort of an emblem of the hike. So we cannot miss the old Navy guys. Another thing that we do without breaking all the juice, but just giving you a couple drops here and there, is that we do have some cool after our events. We have some traditions that we have, and sometimes the best thing to do is to hang out with the best in the West, and that's us in Phoenix.
That's good
All
stuff.
says Ojos Locos annual commemoration at Ojos Locos.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Kim, what about you? What little snippets of the DC hike are you willing to share with us?
Well, the first snippet is I'm going to say everybody needs to show up dressed up in a Halloween costume because we will be having two Halloween contests, one at our meet and greet, one at the hike. Um, right now we're trying to figure out how to make the costume contest at the hike um, live to where the Facebook audience can vote at the same time.
Ooh,
So we're working on that. So it won't be just the people that are at the hike. We'll have a live DJ at both events. We've got a new route this year for the day hike. So that will take us through parts of DC that should be very decorated for Halloween. And I just have a few little surprises going on for the hikers.
Very cool. That the costume contest sounds like it'll be really fun. I'll have to make sure I try to tune in for that and check that out. What keeping it with DC for a sec, what were one of the struggles that you guys had this year getting your hike together?
I think one of the struggles is just continuing with the momentum after having a hike earlier this year and continuing the same momentum in between hikes. This year I did spread them out to where they were 6 months apart, so that we could, be able to do that. We've also had a lot of national events going on, so it's just being able to keep the momentum through all the other events that we have going on, that have national eyes on us, and that have brought in a larger crowd. Right now, the biggest thing is tundra barking, but also, with the government shutdown, everybody's asking, well, how are we going to navigate that if they don't open up back up? And quite honestly, we've decided the hike will go on. We have the relationship with the organizations for permitting. They know we're coming, so unfortunately, one of the offices is closed, but they also know that we're going to be present and it's still okay. So
That's good.
that's kind of been that challenge.
All right, Dan, give us one challenge that you guys have had so far this year putting your hike together.
Mm, Well, one of the top struggles that I will say that we have is that three out of the, well, we used to only be three, but now we have five, six people on our team. But three of us are still actively serving. So between deployments and TDYs and assignments and being here, and sometimes you cannot take that time off to do whatever you got to do. That was a little taxing. I'm stationed in California, and my hike's in Phoenix. So that's one of those things that I do need to manage. Whenever I can take leave and whatnot to travel down there. We have a couple events we like to do that we need to attend, and then me being the social media coordinator, um, I just need to add that extra mile, to whatever I gotta do in order to travel and whatnot, do a podcast, like go there, go to the event or studio or whatever we have, or any other community event. So I wanna say that that's one of those things. But for the first time in 2-3 years, they were all together at the same time. So
Okay.
luckily it's working. So that was one of their biggest struggles. Just a couple other, like two other nearby hikes were happening a couple years ago, but now we are a little spread. So if you're in one side of the country, you should go to Kim's hike at DC. But if you're in the West Coast, feel free to swing by. But we had a couple hikes that were right super close to each other that say exact same weekend. So I think that that's one of those things that we were kind of clashing with other hikes, and we love other people, other hikes. But I want to say that that was one of those bigger things. But yeah, like it was just having us at the same time is tough.
Yeah, of course. Well, keep it going. The next question I have for you guys is, so Dan, so if you were walking down the street, whether you're in Phoenix or you're in Cali, wherever, and you come across somebody who they either a veteran who they have not heard about IW, or they have heard about IW, but they have yet to pull the trigger and come out to either a Silkies hike or just a random vet together. What do you tell them to convince them to come out and experience what Irreverent Warriors has to offer?
I love that question. It definitely comes with reading the room a little bit. We all had so many different experiences that some uh, sometimes we don't like being in public, so maybe reading that person first and like understanding their boundaries and comfort levels. But let's say they're filling in with the idea, but they just haven't shown up just yet. I would just tell them, hey, like it's just like going to the VA sometimes when they give you all these different options for your care. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. You'll never know who you meet. And that was one of the situations that I had with a hiker that he saw his drill sergeant attending our hike, and that to him was just like shocking, because um, not a lot of people buy into the idea of silkies unless you're a marine and you're all about silkies. And that's one of those things that people don't really buy on. So like, I just recommend doing the humor and camaraderie is one of those things. That's our motto, right? Nationwide, that's how we start. So just letting them know, hey, like this is the best place to let loose. You're in the safest environment because you're around America's badasses, and honestly, it won't hurt to just have a couple laughs here and there, meet a couple good people. Every now and then we bring resources with us. That's how we started college, actually, by a stand that came to our hike, and I just decided to keep on going with college. So just so many resources that we have. Also, there's so many cool people, and you never know who you reconnect with. We have people that fall in love in our hikes. Like, you never know who you meet. You'll meet your new best friend in those hikes. So that's the only thing I would say. Like, just give it a shot. You literally lose nothing but a couple hours of laughing.
Right. And you never know
Yeah.
who you're going to meet. I mean, unless you're a dude, because apparently we're walking red flags.
Yes, we are.
Kim, same question to you. You come across somebody, a veteran, who has yet to experience IW or knows about IW but hasn't yet pulled the trigger to come on out to an event. How are you convincing them to come out and enjoy and experience Irreverent Warriors?
The first thing I usually do, again, I do agree with reading the room. But I also look at everybody always is always looking for something cool, something to have a good time. So I usually keep one of our hikes queued up on my phone in the videos so I can show them because it's much easier to show them than it is to tell them about it. But then it's also, a reel of pictures of people, hugging and happy and everything like that. And then I go into what our mission is. And I don't necessarily just, go through the mission statement. I said our goal is to pull veterans out of isolation. You know, one veteran shows up, I think it's a win. And, whether it's, our brunches or our hikes or even, with the Stop Suicide Silence we just had in DC, you show up, you're going to meet somebody, you're going to make friends. One of my best friends that I've made through IW now, we bonded because we're both from Alaska. We both happen to live 5 minutes from each other. We would not have known that if it hadn't have been for IW. So, and just being able to build that network. And, if you start talking to them and you kind of find what they're looking for, or somebody that they would instantly click with, just invite them to the events that that somebody's going to be at, and then make the introductions and be like, hey, this is going to be your new best friend. you know um it's really just, I think a lot of it is just how we talk about it and how our face lights up when we talk about it and how much we believe in it is really what's going to convince somebody,
Right.
versus us just saying our mission statement, this is what we do, come join us. It's, telling them our stories and our experiences. And that's usually what gets the buy-in.
Absolutely. And Henry.
Yep.
Um, all great stuff. I love hearing about how you guys are able to put that into words, right? It's because it literally is you guys taking your why essentially and putting that into, hey, bring your ass, right? Come join us for a Silkies like, because it's going to change your damn life. And like I said at the beginning of the show, it's, you ain't got shit else going on. let's go. Like, don't tell me you got, don't try to pull off like I got laundry or I got chores, I got errands. No, 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 you don't. Take your Saturday and come hang out with us. And
Hey, what time am I picking you up?
yeah, right. Yeah. If that's who was I talking to the other day was saying, they got into it because Matt Reeves drove a creepy white van to go pick them all up, and they picked up a bunch of people along the way. So I mean, it happens. If you need a ride, you're gonna get picked up by somebody along the way who's going to the hike, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have a good time. I don't know how much I would trust the white creepy van, especially if Matt was driving it. But you know what? I'd probably still get in,
Was he
because
offering candy?
it's that I don't know. He was probably offering mozzarella sticks, knowing Matt.
Oh, that's true. I got the
Very
But
true.
cheese, man.
right. But I think that about wraps it up for tonight, boys and girls. I sincerely do wish you guys with luck with your guys' hikes, and I do hope it is everything that you guys hope it is. Can't wait to see pictures and videos and stuff like that. I've even told people, hell, if you wanna live stream part of your hike, man, and post those videos because people love to see it. And I love to see it because I love to see everybody having a good time and really just crushing their hikes. And I know you guys are going to absolutely crush your hikes. I'm excited for you guys to do all that. Um, but there you have it. I want to thank Kim and Dan for taking some time to hang out with us this evening and give us the lowdown on their hikes, a little bit about their personal lives, their whys. And we really, really appreciate your guys' time tonight.
Thanks,
Um,
Eric.
absolutely.
Thanks
I
for
love
having
you.
us.
Of course. No, thank you guys for taking the
Good
time.
luck over in DC.
What's
Thank
that?
you. Good luck in Phoenix.
Look at that. You guys star-crossed, even though one's a red flag and one's got a skeleton on her shoulder. I don't know who to trust. And thank you all for tuning in and listening. Be sure you guys take these. One, make sure you guys register for those damn hikes. And two, make sure you guys if you guys enjoyed what you watch, share, like the episode far and wide so that we can bring a little extra human camaraderie to anybody who might listen. Until next time, stay reverent, my friends.
Call someone you serve with, please.